What if Daenerys never burned King's Landing? Would she have become the benevolent queen she always dreamed of being? Or would the Wheel of Power have crushed her anyway? In this video, we'll unravel one of the most explosive what-if scenarios in Game of Thrones lore. We're diving into an alternate timeline where Daenerys makes a different choice, one that could have reshaped the fate of Westeros forever. We'll explore how Jon Snow's destiny might have changed, what Arya Stark would have done instead, and whether Daenerys could have ruled without turning into the very tyrant she vowed to destroy. And yes, we'll be bringing in the fan theories, from secret Targaryen conspiracies to a second dance of the dragons. This is the story that could have rewritten the end of Thrones, and maybe, just maybe, fixed it. So grab your sword, brace yourself for fire and politics, and let's step into a world where mercy wins over madness. Daenerys stands at the gates of King's Landing, the city surrendering not to dragonfire, but to silence. The bells ring, not as a prelude to destruction, but as a signal of unexpected mercy. The Red Keep still stands. The streets remain untouched. The realm holds its breath. And so does history. In this timeline, Daenerys Targaryen doesn't become the Mad Queen. She becomes something far more dangerous, a ruler in complete control. Her army look to her not with fear, but reverence. Dragon, her winged shadow, watches from above, a constant reminder of the fire she could unleash, but chooses not to. Tyrion, broken by betrayal and loss, now finds a flicker of hope. He expected a massacre. He got a monarch. And for a moment he believes that she can break the wheel without burning it. Jon Snow, ever the torn soul, feels the shift as well. There is no ash in his lungs, no charred bodies beneath his boots. He doesn't see a tyrant. He sees the woman he once believed in. But the unease remains, buried like a ghost beneath winter snow. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the victory, whispers begin. Some nobles call her restraint a clever facade. Others see it as a sign of weakness. And Varys' words, once dismissed, echo louder now that he's gone. With the Iron Throne in her sights and no blood on her hands, Daenerys seizes power not through terror. But Westeros does not run on mercy. It runs on ambition, secrets, and old grudges. And now, without fire to cleanse the board, the Game of Thrones begins again, this time with a dragon queen at the center of it all, more feared, more unpredictable, and far more calculating than anyone imagined. Jon Snow's path shifts in a world where the city still stands. The absence of ash does not quiet the unrest within him. It merely delays it. King's Landing may have been spared, but the weight of power still presses down like a sword hanging by a thread. Daenerys rules without fire, but her flame has not died. It waits, hidden beneath a calm surface. With each decision she makes, trust and doubt wrestle in Jon's mind. Raised on duty and honor, he sees peace, but also the fragile silence that often precedes the storm. He walks beside a queen adored by many and questioned by few, yet something beneath it all feels unsteady. Not wrong, not right, just unfinished. Far from the throne, Arya Stark finds herself adrift. Her list has no names left. Her blade has no target. Without revenge, the path ahead is unfamiliar. She watches the aftermath, not as a killer, but as a survivor searching for meaning beyond blood. The bells didn't silence her rage, they simply took away her reason to act on it. She does not sail west. She does not vanish into legend. Instead, her eyes turn north, toward Winterfell, not to escape the world, but to reclaim her place in it, to rebuild something real. For Jon and Arya, the war is over. But peace, in Westeros, is never a destination. It's only the edge of the next battle. The throne room no longer echoes with fire and fury, but the silence it holds is equally dangerous. King's Landing may have been spared, but the kingdom remains fractured, held together by ashes of trust and the fragile hope of a new order. Tyrion Lannister walks this delicate line with a weight heavier than chains. He gambled everything on Daenerys, and for now she has proven him wrong in the best possible way. She chose restraint. She spared the city. But mercy doesn't erase mistakes. It delays consequences. Stripped of his title as Hand, Tyrion now moves through the capital not as a lord, but as a man rebuilding from ruin, his own and Westeros's. He watches Daenerys closely, trying to understand whether her act of mercy is a turning point, or just a pause before the inevitable. The small council no longer exists. The lords who once played the game are dead, scattered, or silent. Tyrion sees an opportunity, not to claim power, but to shape it, to fill the void before others with darker intentions do. He begins pulling threads, summoning survivors, whispering into ears, arranging uneasy alliances, not for glory, but for balance. Because he knows power cannot exist in a vacuum, and a queen without counsel is a queen without limits. But his every move is watched by Grey Worm, whose loyalty to Daenerys is absolute, by Jon, whose silence grows colder by the day, and by Daenerys herself, who may accept his wisdom or see his efforts as treason wrapped in diplomacy. Tyrion is gambling again, not with wildfire or wine, but with whispers, trust, and time. And in Westeros, those are the deadliest games of all. The Iron Throne stands tall, unscorched and cold. Daenerys Targaryen sits upon it, not as a conqueror, but as a ruler untested by fire. Without the burning of King's Landing, Daenerys has won the realm's silence, but not its soul. To many, she is the foreign queen who arrived with dragons and armies. To others, she is the woman who could have burned the city, and didn't. But restraint is a crown with sharp edges. Where fear once ensured compliance, now she must rely on fragile alliances and half-truths. Each day brings new decisions, taxes, justice, punishment, diplomacy. None of them are simple. None of them carry the glory of liberation. In Meereen, she ruled with revolution in her veins. In Westeros, revolution has no place. Here, tradition clings to the walls like ivy, choking change at its roots. Daenerys walks the halls of the Red Keep, haunted not by her enemies, but by her own image. The Targaryen name once promised madness and fire. She must now prove that mercy is not weakness, and that strength can exist without spectacle. But in a land ruled by fear for generations, is peace without violence even possible? Can a dragon queen survive in a world that only respects flame? Daenerys wears the crown, but the people do not yet see her as their queen. Not truly. And in that quiet resistance lies the beginning of something dangerous. Peace has settled over Westeros, but not all who kneel do so willingly. In the corners of the realm, old names stir. The Reach remembers Olenna Tyrell. The Stormlands whisper the legacy of Robert Baratheon. And the North, though quiet, does not forget how close it came to losing everything. Alliances once forged by war now rust in silence. The great houses watch Daenerys with guarded eyes, some waiting, others planning. They see her restraint not as strength, but as hesitation. And in hesitation they smell opportunity. Small rebellions spark beneath banners of loyalty. Letters are sent, secrets exchanged. Not openly, not yet, but enough to shift the balance. Tyrion feels it. So does Jon. And somewhere deep within Daenerys, the old fire stirs, not to destroy, but to defend. Because peace in Westeros is a fragile myth, and every queen eventually faces a storm. She may have won the throne without fire, but keeping it, that will be a different kind of war. Westeros changed the moment Daenerys chose mercy over fire. But this version of the story, it's only just beginning. If this journey made you rethink the ending, If you saw a glimmer of the queen she could have become, or a future Jon and Arya deserved, then don't let this be the last chapter. Like the video to let the realm know you were here. Subscribe to join the Popcorn Verse, where every choice opens a new timeline. And in the comments tell us, what would you change about Game of Thrones? Who lived, who died, who should have ruled? Because in this universe, you don't just watch the story, you rewrite it.